Hey, good morning, Pak Zikri. Today I would like to present our study research about exchange rate volatility and the cost of renewable technology import. Before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Amelia Rinda. Everybody call me Amel, and currently I work at PT Pertamina Hulu Energi as financial risk and insurance. Let's begin the presentation. The agenda, actually, this presentation I was created to to get easy understanding what my essay or case study develop and talk about anything relate to um, the exchange rate volatility itself, and also the correlation between exchange rate volatility with the increasing the cost of renewable technology import. And the agenda will be discussed about background problem statement, research objective, theoretical framework and methodology, key findings, recommendation, and the last is about conclusion. Okay, we jump to the first slide. It is talk about the background and also problem statement. Because from the background and problem statement, we can build any study framework, methodology, data, and anything in further. The background actually about currency and economic volatility. Reason global uncertainty. It's like a trade war, it makes any policies, whether in domestic market or global market, become unstable or uncertain. And also this has led to more unpredictable investment in environment, especially for projects with high upfront import costs like renewable energy. And the second background about Indonesian position, this is I want to um, develop some idea about the Indonesia currently active involved about sustainability business. It means like so many active promoting renewable energy target by several industry, but still highly dependent on import for several technologies or infrastructure. Of course, the import reliance exposed the country to global market fluctuation, especially exchange rate volatility, because common currency that used for import product or anything about import use international standard or in dollar. And the third background about global outlook, it is the underlying the global push for energy transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy. It is driven by climate goal and sustainability agenda. For instance, there are SDG and Paris Agreement, and also the renewable energy technologies like solar panel, wind turbines, and inverters are the center of this transition. But their production is concentrated in few industrialized countries like China, Germany, and USA. Very rare that it comes from local industry or domestic industry. From that background, we find the problem statement here. The first about volatility exchange rate. This study will discuss about the um, Indonesian currency or rupiah, we call rupiah, against American currency or USD. That's fluctuation make budget and procurement unstable, of course. Even small currency depreciation can result in large cost overruns for renewable energy projects. And the second problems, high import dependence. It is means like Indonesia does not yet produce key renewable technology component, and this amplifies exposure to global financial shocks, supply chain disruption, and import inflation. And the last problem is lack of financial risk mitigation. Maybe, sorry, maybe many firms and public agencies do not have adequate hedging or financial instrument or like stabilized risk mitigation policies. This is also the policy or any industry are not ready if there are some fluctuation or volatility in the market. Well, we can jump to the next slide. Well, the next slide, we talk about the objective. This study objective is to analyze the intersection between currency volatility and renewable energy development in Indonesia. This study focusing on how macroeconomic dynamics influence the cost structure of imported technology, especially renewable technology. Yeah, actually, this presentation in line with the framework of my study. After we talk about the background, the introduction, and then we create some theoretical framework and methodology. The first theoretical framework that I use to define my study is about supply and demand theory in the foreign exchange market, reference from Krugman, because these principal exchange rate are determined by the demand and supply of foreign currency. When demand of USD rise due to increasing import, because when we rise the supply of import goods or renewable import technology, we will pay the import technology using a dollar or American dollar as the international standard. It means like we need or um, influence the rising of supply, but the rising the demand of USD, but the availability of USD in the market will be reduced. That's why the side diagram shows that the D curve shift from D0 to D1, but the supply still is not at anymore. That's why the dollar will be increased and the rupiah will be depreciated. This depreciation increased the cost of import goods such as solar panel and wind turbine and anything the renewable technology related to the technology. And the second theoretical framework is about flow-oriented model. This framework will underline about the suggest that trade balance are primary driver or exchange rates movement, and also about currency depreciation boost export and reduce import competitiveness due to higher costs, and relevant because this is relevant because exchange directly affect revenue and cost, especially in sector like reliant or import. And the third theoretical framework is about stock-oriented model from Branson. This is argues that capital market flow or foreign investment in stock market big influence the exchange rates. And a strong or weak investment climate affect the currency strength, which in influence import price. From the theoretical framework, this study also developed about methodology. This study research approach is qualitative analysis. This focus on interpreting the data variable. So any variable will be interpreted and elaborate relate to the theoretical framework. And then after the methodology and also from the theoretical framework, and the next slide is talk about key findings because after we gather any data and also about the theoretical as the baseline, so we gather any findings from the study. The first is talk about exchange rate volatility is increase the import cost, and all the findings is based on the data from BPS and any data that are available in Indonesian. And then Indonesian highly unsafe due to the import dependence. Most of renewable energy component are comes from foreign or from China, German, and USD. It means like we don't have any enough technology that come from our nation. This condition will be unsafe if there are some geopolitical condition or like trade war right now. This could be the alarm or early warning for Indonesia. And the third about volatility harms renewable energy project feasibility. And the last about financial and policy tools are not fully utilized. It is because the instrument like hedging, derivative tools is not applied in public entities. And also weak financial protection expose renewable project to macroeconomic shock. This is some recommendation from the study. The first about institutionalized currency risk mitigation mechanism and develop domestic renewable technology manufacturing hubs is like we create a zone focused on manufacturing component such as PV panels. Maybe we can collaborate with PLN and any national company. And then strengthen risk policy management, applying strong risk mitigation policy like FX monitoring, forecasting, and early warning system. And then the fourth, harmonize energy and trade policy. It means like aligning renewable energy import policy with macroeconomic and currency policies. And the last, diversify import sources and bilateral supply agreement. It means like we have to create leverage bilateral trade agreement to stabilize price and and exchange rate exposure. Well, this is the last slide. Maybe is this a conclusion? The first conclusion, we conclude that exchange rate volatility significantly increased the cost of importing renewable technology in Indonesia. And the second, the rupiah depreciation against the USD between 22 and 24 has raised import prices for critical components like solar panel and wind turbine. And the third, Indonesia high dependence on imported technology make its renewable energy sector vulnerable to external economy shock. The fourth, about theoretical framework, we already talked. We have used for supply demand flow oriented and stock oriented model. This is support the relationship between exchange rate dynamic and project cost. And five, lack of hedging mechanism and limited local manufacturing capacity make the risk become worse, especially the exchange rate volatility. Six, without intervention, volatility will continue to delay project, inflate budget, and threaten national energy transition goals. The last, a combination of financial risk management, industrial policy, and regulatory reform is essential to ensure stable long-term investment in clean energy. Okay, that's all from me, Pak Zikri. Thank you so much for your attention. Hopefully, it is fulfill what we need and your task for me. Thank you so much. Goodbye.